Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Pius, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we got our guest here, Brandon Etheridge. Welcome, Brandon. We are here at the Bear Creek Golf Club today as part of our live event with the Double Down Showdown, and really excited to get things going. But Genoa, how you feeling today, my brother?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, I'm doing great. It's finally was to be all here in person. Here, as you mentioned, Justin, in Bear Creek Golf Course Club here in Dallas. I'm super pumped. Justin, just keep talking sports all day. Well, not just us three, Justin, but everybody, all those fellow golfers out there will be hearing their input on all things sports. But, Justin, how are you doing today?
Dude, I feel great. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Houston went through Hurricane Beryl this week, and so a lot of not much power. And we got it back a couple days ago, and now we're here in Dallas, and it just feels so great here on the course. Looks beautiful. And I couldn't be happier to be in our first live event all together. So super excited. But yeah, let's talk with our guest star here, Brandon. Welcome to the pod again. And how you doing, my brother?
Happy to be back. I'm doing well, man. Excited to be in Dallas at this event. Just excited to sit here and talk sports.
Yeah, dude. And, you know, we're going to be diving into a lot of sports today. We're going to have multiple episodes talking about basketball, football, some golf, because we're on this beautiful course today. But this year, we're going to talk about some basketball because Summer League is underway. We're seeing a lot of rookies, coming to play in their first bit of professional competition. And we got a few names that we really want to dive into and kind of decipher how their first, week has gone in the Summer League in Vegas and other places. But we're going to start with the guy who, is taking kind of the media by storm. He wasn't even a first-round pick. He was a second-round pick, but he's got a certain father who he's got the name. We're talking about Bronny James here for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's been in 3 games so far, right? He missed one of the games, but last night he got to play against the Houston Rockets, where he did struggle offensively. And that's kind of what we've seen so far. It's been some offensive struggles. His defense has been pretty good. But Brandon, my guest star, what are your thoughts with Bronny through the first, week of Summer League?
Man, I like Bronny. I like LeBron. Growing up, watching his dad play. I have to say, I'm kind of on the Bronny hate side.
Bronny hate.
Getting pulled to the Lakers just because of the name, but he's a kid still. Didn't even really play a full season just because of the heart injury he went through. So I'm excited to see where he's going to go. But right now he's not doing too hot. Hopefully we get to heard some news coming out. He might be playing in the G League. So maybe he'll have some more development there. But I'm open to seeing how he plays, how he fits into the role with the Lakers. But I think Genoa over here, he's got some things to say about Bronny. Let's hear it.
So I got to say this. In the NBA, it takes players, to their second or third season to really develop into a star. So Justin and Brandon, I'm on the Bronny love train. Now, I think from the jump, we won't see much of Bronny to start the season. The season does start in mid-October. Early November, and I think Bronny will start off in the G League around that time. But once we get towards the end of January, closer to All-Star break there in February, I do think that Bronny will be activated on the Lakers' active roster. Justin, I do believe that eventually Bronny will be able to join that team, and they're a deep roster, Justin. I mean, they have D'Lo, and Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, and of course LeBron, and Cam Reddish, and so there's a bunch of other players that are staying. Obviously, Christie there, they re-signed him. He's going to be staying. They're probably going to make a couple of trades. So I do think that Bronny will probably be the 8th or 9th player in that rotation going forward. Once they hit the playoffs, only about 8 or 9 players really see the series, really play as much in those series. So it's going to take some time for Bronny to get settled in. And we're probably thinking of Bronny as a lead guy for the Lakers once his father actually retires. So, of course, the next year or two, Bronny will be implemented into the offense here and there. But he really won't get the keys until his father actually calls it quits. So I'm going to give him 2 to 3 years, year in and year out. I just hope it's not a Lonzo Ball situation where he has a key injury and it holds him back. Because I do believe, Justin and Brandon, that if Bronny James stays healthy, he will, be one of those pure point guard, shooting guard guys that can average possibly somewhere between 16 and 7 assists, 16 points, 7 assists within the next 2 years. And I do think once he hits the, age of 23 and 24, he will be able to average 20 points per game and maybe one day be an all-star.
Yeah, I think with Bronny, as much as he struggled early on, as Brandon mentioned, he's young. He's 19 years old. I mean, you can't read too much into how he started in the Summer League. Obviously, he had that massive problem with his heart back at college where he missed a lot of time. And so it's going to take some time to really step up, as you said. But I do think he definitely hits the court this year at some point to play with his dad. I don't know what the minutes will look like, and I don't know what kind of player he's going to be with this Lakers roster and in the future, because he's not, a high volume scorer. He's more of a facilitator. And so that's a spot that the Lakers could fill. They kind of need that point guard. I know they have D'Lo, but he's had struggles, and I don't know how much of a passer you can argue he is. But Bronny, first off the rip, has not started well. But it's always put it on hold. We'll wait and see how it kind of unfolds. And that's kind of the state I think we're all kind of in, and that's what I think the fans and the NBA should be. And yesterday, watching that Rockets game, JJ Redick was on an interview with the commentators with Doris Burke, and he was just talking about how it's all about development. Don't look at don't have full expectations. Go in just with the goal set of developing, growing, and then it'll work out. And I think that's what's going to have to be the move for Bronny. And, with the genes he has, he's got a upper leg amongst the rest of the competition. But, yeah, Bronny starting off slow, but we can't wait to see how it unfolds. But diving into our next guy, we're going to move to our next guy, a fellow Laker who has kind of been the shining star of Lakers Summer League, especially against this Rockets team. I'm talking about Dalton Knecht, Knecht 4. He's played really well. Obviously at Tennessee, he broke out, had the best. He was the SEC Player of the Year. Very special talent, and I think he's going to fit right into the Lakers roster day one. I don't even think he spends any time in the G League. Just that scoring, it's very important. For this Lakers team. I know they have LeBron and AD that can score, but Dalton gives them a kind of a different dimension that I think will fit really well with that team. But Jano, since you got the mic, what are your thoughts with Dalton?
No, I love this guy out of Tennessee, Justin. He's going to be the perfect option coming off the bench for when Austin Reeves does, hit the bench. Dalton Knecht's going to be the guy to come right off and give the Lakers that spark that they needed. LeBron's going to really love playing with this guy. This guy's a spot-up shooter. He can really shoot off the ball, just an Austin Reeves 2.0. So that's really going to come in handy in key situations. With the health of LeBron James, we're not really always certain if AD is going to play 65, 70, even though he did play 78 this past season. They're going to need a guy that's going to be a scorer. And I do like Knecht to average somewhere between 15 and 18 points per game for the Lakers. One of those rookies that just is a pure shooter. Kind of reminds me how Tyler Hero was his rookie year with the Miami Heat. So definitely love Dalton Knecht to give that spark off the bench for the Lakers. They have some young talent there with Cam Reddish and Christie there. So maybe they can develop a core off the bench because there's going to be times this season where LeBron is going to have to sit. That's just the harsh reality of the end of LeBron's career. We're going to need him more fresher towards the end of January into the summer for the playoff run. So they're going to need these young cats to step up. And when Rob Pelinka and the Lakers organization made their selection to get Dalton Knecht, they were very excited. JJ Redick looked pumped, so they're excited to get their bench player and potential starter for the future, maybe a run alongside Bronny James, which we just mentioned. So I love Dalton Knecht. I'm excited to see him for the rest of the summer league. And hey, maybe the Lakers have their potential next superstar.
Yeah, man. I mean, just to talk about Knecht a little bit more, he's one of the older drafts. He's coming out of Tennessee. He's 23 years old. So we're kind of seeing something different. We just talked about Bronny, super young kid. Whereas with Knecht, we've got the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Knecht had a great time in Tennessee. Now he's coming out summer league, staying hot. In his in the game on the 10th, man, he dropped 20 points in summer league. That's wild for somebody who's just getting drafted. So I definitely think he's going to be a great replacement for LeBron when LeBron does get tired, like you mentioned. And I think we're going to be. I'm agreeing with you. I think we're going to see an easy 16 points out of him off the bench, and hopefully he stays healthy through this season. Because I mean, man, the Lakers really do need that backup small forward. So I'm super excited to see him in the season this coming season. I think he's got some stuff in store for us.
Yeah, and I would like to see how he develops defensively. He's obviously a shooter, but obviously he could be the better defensive player out of Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. So we'll see how he develops defensively, Justin.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, you're talking about the roster that the Lakers have currently. they didn't bring too many. They didn't bring new people in. They re-signed Christie, and they let some guys walk, and they brought back D'Lo, but they didn't bring any other names that'll take up minutes on this team. So Dalton really fits in, and we've liked everything we've seen. He's looked very comfortable on the court so far. So A+ for Dalton in summer league so far. Even though they've been losing, they lost at least to the Rockets, a night ago. So Dalton Knecht, though, very good. Lakers, I guess you're going to call it a wash with Dalton doing really well. Bronny's struggling, but the Lakers should be happy with what they got. But now diving into the next player, I want to talk about a guy who, is the TikTok star amongst the NBA, prospects here. Talking about Jared McCain of the Philadelphia 76ers. I know the Sixers re-signed Kyle Lowry, but Jared McCain has an opportunity to kind of replace him in a year and kind of become, a really important guard for the Sixers team that has, Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey, all great scorers. McCain could be, really an instrumental piece going forward. And he started off pretty good in the summer league. Brandon, what are your thoughts with Jared?
Man, I love Jared McCain. I've watched him play at Duke, and seeing him show out there, it was a great time. So I'm happy to see him on the Sixers. I feel like that's a great spot for him. Yeah. Definitely has a lot of room for growth, like you said. I mean, they just re-signed Kyle Lowry, but they're definitely going to need a replacement because, hate to say it, but Kyle Lowry's getting old.
Yeah.
So, Jared McCain, we saw him in college playing at Duke. He's averaging 14.3 points a game, which is super solid for him. And, coming into summer league, he's still showing out. First NBA real appearance, and Jared McCain's out there. He's not hitting from the three like we should see, but he's pulling up from the mid range. He looks like he's like a modern day Paul Pierce. Yeah. I love Jared. I'm excited to see where he takes the Sixers. I feel like he has a long career ahead of him with that team.
Yeah, and playing for a college like Duke, he's got the pedigree. Playing for a really great college, great university, and a great basketball school, of course. And so he has that background. He obviously has the energy and the passion to play, and just the supporting cast around him is going to be really good. But I want to get your thoughts with Jared.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon sort of took my comparison. He is a young Paul Pierce. Sometimes not all the way well from behind the arc in the three-point line, but he will get you some buckets from mid-range. He can also get you around maybe 7, assists, 6 rebounds, which is what you need off the bench. And I love the fact that, I love what the 76ers are doing. Obviously, Maxey is an upcoming star for sure. You got the, last year's MVP in Joel Embiid. And now you add Paul George, who is hungry. And I love Nick Nurse as a head coach. He did well in Toronto, Justin, developing that team and eventually winning the championship in 2019 with the Raptors. But I just love now what the 76ers are doing. I do wish that they were able to keep Buddy Hield because I'm a big Buddy Hield fan since his days in Sacramento. He's a great shooter. But now that he's in Golden State, I love now Jared McCain to be that guy off the bench. I mean, you look at the 76ers, they have many great players that are being developed there. But I do think Jared McCain has the potential to start many games if Paul, George is out. Paul George does have, minor knee injuries here and there. He'll miss a game. But I do love Jared McCain to be their guy to work well with Maxey. He's going to be their 2 guard. He's a great shooting guard, pick and roll guy, can shoot off the dribble. He does need to work a little bit on his three-point. I think he was 0 of 6 the other night, Justin, with scoring at least 14 or 15 points. And so basically, I love Jared McCain. I think he's going to have some effect on the 76ers right off the bat from game 1, night 1, and opening night for Philadelphia. And I do think that Philly's going to embrace this guy. Yes, he doesn't match the Philly, crowd and lifestyle, how Philly fans, love to root, and they're so passionate for their teams. But Jared McCain is going to kind of change, love there in the city of brotherly love. So, hey, I love Jared McCain. I would say he is in my top 5 rookies for my rankings as far as rookie of the year.
Okay.
So, we have, Knecht in there. I'm not really, so high on the first 2 picks. So it opens room for guys like McCain, and Knecht and Sheppard, who we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And so, hey, I love Jared McCain to just fill in for the 76ers, like I mentioned, because I know Paul George does have those minor injuries. And some nights, Embiid will probably take. So I think they're going to need more scoring pretty much there in Philadelphia. So those nights to rest their star players.
Yeah, so I like everything you're saying there. And, I kind of want to pose a question to you both. We talked about 2 guys that went in a similar range in the draft with Knecht and McCain. Both we think will get some solid minutes with their, their respective teams. but who we thinking kind of has the upper hand that can kind of make their name and kind of maybe get in that Rookie of the Year conversation more between those two players?
I'm going to go with Jared McCain because, like I said, I just love – we're not – first of all, in L.A., I love J.J. Redick as a commentator, but we're not sure what he's going to bring to the table as a head coach. He was a shooter in his playing days, so is he going to develop Knecht into a shooter off the bat? We're not sure. But with Jared McCain, he's going to be learning from Maxey and Paul George, who are really two good pure shooters. Maxey's an upcoming star, and so McCain is going to learn a lot from Nick Nurse, who's established himself already as a head coach. So I'm going to go with McCain on that question.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say the same thing. I'm going with Jared McCain. Knecht, I hate to say it, but he has to fit into LeBron's shadow. You know what I'm saying? He's coming off the bench playing for LeBron. So I feel like LeBron is kind of going to overshadow him just because, it's King James.
Yeah.
Well, let's be real.
Yeah.
Knecht's going to be, I'm not saying he's not going to be a star player for the Lakers this year, but I am saying, he's going to be coming off the bench for a big name. Yeah. Somebody that's going to be out there scoring, blocking, good rebounder. So I'm saying Jared McCain just because he kind of has the team around him. You know what I'm saying? He's got support from Paul George, Joel Embiid, who are both seasoned professionals. They know what they're doing out here. They know how to lead somebody to success. So I'm sticking with Jared McCain for that.
All right. I'll give you my take on this because I don't want to be the devil's advocate, but I'd actually probably go Dalton Knecht.
Okay.
I do agree the coaching disparity between the Sixers and the Lakers could spell Knecht to not have as good of a season. But you're mentioning LeBron living in LeBron's shadow. I completely understand that. It is 100% true. But Joel Embiid averaged 34 points a game last year. Yeah, he's a scoring machine. Paul George can score. Tyrese Maxey is literally the scorer. That's his MO. And so Knecht kind of finds his space where, yes, he's behind LeBron, behind AD, probably behind D'Lo. But he can kind of slide in, I think, right there. And D'Lo's kind of a player where Knecht, if he's doing well enough, could really, jump him in that ranking, in that order of, succession there. So I think I would go Knecht in that situation. But I think it's a good question to pose, and I like that we kind of have some differing takes here. But yeah, Jared McCain has been very good through the summer league so far, and we have high expectations as him being on a good roster, and he's a good player coming out of Duke. But yeah, the next guy we're going to talk about is a guy who kind of lit the world on fire with his very first game, the 3-point maestro for our Houston Rockets. We're talking about Reed Sheppard, the 3rd overall pick. I know you look at the figure, you look at the stance. Maybe, hey, is he going to be a star basketball player? Well, he showed it in just one game, putting up 23 points. I was watching that game. They were close with the Lakers through halftime. We hit the 3rd quarter, and Reed goes nuts. He started making threes. He's a really great passer. I think he had 4 or 5 steals. Very impressive performance. Just right out the gate. And they had Cam Whitmore out there on the court with them. So he's the reigning Summer League MVP. So he's already had his minutes in the Summer League, in professional basketball. But Reed was able to even outshine him in his first game. So I was really impressed with Reed. And I think, it's only the sky's the limit for him. And especially with this Rockets team that needs shooting, I think it kind of fits really well that he, was able to do that. He was able to show that in his first game. But Janelle, give me your thoughts with Reed in his first game.
Yeah, so Justin, the Houston Rockets, my beloved Houston Rockets, present an interesting situation now going into this season. Now, they have a plethora of guards. We're talking Amen Thompson, who we drafted last year. We're talking Jalen Green, who I think has an all-star potential breakout going into this year. And then we signed Fred VanVleet to a massive contract last offseason. We have many guards go. He also mentioned Whitmore, who I think is going to be listed as a 3 in the small forward position. And it presents an interesting rotation for Ime Udoka because now, with a performance like Reed had last night, you cannot ignore that now going into the season. There's no doubt that he will be on the roster all year. I don't think we'll see any G League stints here for Reed. So he's going to be ready to go night 1, opening night. Here's what I think. I think off the bat, he'll probably get 15 to maybe 20 minutes for the first 10 to 15 games of the season. And I think Ime is going to implement him more and more. Now, do you start him more over – this is a question now, Justin. Do you start him more than Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks? Because with Amen Thompson, I think we have a tall point guard at the 1, and then we have Jalen Green at the 2, who we can't bench. He's our leading scorer. And at the 3, I would like to start Whitmore. Maybe, going into December. I love Whitmore at the 3. I do think it's time to get rid of Brooks eventually and Fred VanVleet. What do you think, Justin?
So, I mean, looking at their roster now, looking at their starting lineup, or at least projected, it is Fred, Jalen, probably Dylan at the moment, and then Jabari and Alperin. And I think, if Whitmore were to find a spot in that lineup, it would be for Dylan Brooks. And then as for Reed, I don't know where he could find a starting gig this year in Houston.
Yeah.
But if you, I don't know if you can slot Jalen at a 3 and move Reed to the 2, because I don't see them taking Fred or Jalen off the court unless Jalen, is struggling, because he did struggle out the gates last year. Obviously, he turned it on post All-Star break. But there's some opportunities and possible situations where that could happen, where somebody can kind of come in for that. But I don't foresee Reed getting in the starting lineup. And I could see more Cam doing it, because Dylan Brooks, he started out pretty good for Houston. He slowed down through the end of the year, and he's got a contract, which it's fine.
His offensive game is very limited.
Yeah, very true.
Defender, but he has these jump shots where I feel that they're forced. He's not really a great mid-range jump shooter at times.
Yeah, but with all of that, I want to give Brandon's take. With this Rockets unit that we've got set up, we got, 7 or 8 really young stars that are, they haven't fully broke out, maybe besides Alperin and Jalen. But what do you think, what's the ceiling as well as the floor and maybe even the middle ground for this Rockets unit?
Man, the Rockets, like you said, they have a lot of young talent. So I'm not saying they're in the run for the chip this year, but I feel like this team is gonna grow together. We've got a lot of young guns coming off, starting and off the bench. So I think in the next few years we're going to see the Rockets showing out. Especially, to touch back on Reed Sheppard, his first game he's coming out with 23 points. That's unheard of. That's his first game in a summer league matchup. He's 4 for 6 from 3, which that's really what the Rockets need. Yeah. You need some outside scoring. You need a good guard. So I'm really happy with Reed on the Rockets. I think that the Rockets are going to go pretty far through the next couple of years, but they're definitely. I'm keeping my eye open on them.
Same question to you, Janelle.
Yeah, so with my Rockets, I think, Justin, that with Reed Sheppard, like I said, I think he could average 15 to 18 points a game. Kind of like him and Knecht are kind of going to be competing with each other with that same role going along through the season. But as well as the Rockets, I do think that we can make a spot and a run for the play-in. I'm thinking we can finish 8th seed. Worst case scenario, the 10th seed that we have to compete for the play-in. I'm thinking 8th or 7th seed. It looks like I think we can match up with the Thunder in the first round. I do think the Thunder probably, if they got the first seed this year, I think they take a small step back, get the 2nd seed. I would like to see a Thunder and Rockets first round matchup in next year's playoffs. So I do like the Rockets to make the play-in. I do like us as best to get a 7th seed just because we're so young, and historically NBA teams with this amount of young talent kind of take a while to gem. Of course, we didn't see that with the Thunder. They made the first seed, won a playoff, series. So, but the Rockets, they're going to take some time. Ime Udoka is more of a defensive-minded head coach. So I do think that now they need to catch up on establishing their offense again.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. And in Houston, I think they have a plethora of, certain possible scenarios for how their season can end this year. But to just continue on the Rockets, I have more questions for you guys, because there's some things to consider. Alperin and Jalen, they're getting contract extensions possibly at the end of this next season. If you look at this Rockets team and they're at the, near the All-Star break and they're under 500, they're the 12th or 13th seed. Is it time to sell one of those two players? Kind of what's the outlook if things aren't going as well for the Rockets?
Here's the thing. In the NBA, you do not trade your young talent that you had to tank for. So I believe you have to give this team 3 to 4 years to figure out what you're going to do. I would give the max to both players because I believe that they have proven that they're going to be the future of the Houston Rockets. As well as the end of the season, Jalen Green had a breakout, into the second part of the season. I think like in March, we went 13-1, 14-2, something like that. Jalen Green was averaging about almost 32 points per game in that stretch of run. We were winning games, and we were with the Warriors neck and neck fighting for that last play-in spot. And with Sengun, he was balling for the first half of the season until he had gotten hurt up until February. So with the Rockets, you have to keep that young talent together. You have to keep that talent that you drafted. The post-Harden era wasn't for nothing, right? So you keep Jalen Green, give him his max. You keep Alfred Sengun, you give him his max. And then you see what you have with Jabari, because I'm a big believer in Jabari Smith. He will be a fantastic forward once he develops his NBA body. So I do think that Jabari should get his contract in the next couple of years. And then we have this guy, Amen Thompson, who I love. He is going to be a defensive point guard. He's going to be our 1 with Jalen Green at our 2. I think Whitmore is going to be our 3. In the future. Jabari and Sengun is going to be our dream starting lineup in the next 3 to 4 years that can potentially get us a championship by 2027, I believe. So, to answer your question, Justin, I believe we have to keep this top talent together because you don't want to do something like, obviously, with the Kings and the Pacers, they sent Sabonis to Sacramento and Halliburton, which was a great trade. But you kind of wish, like, man, what if I had Halliburton with, De'Aaron Fox? You don't want to break up the young talent because like the Lakers had Kuzma and Ingram and all those young talent with LeBron, they could have, had something special. So I don't think they should get rid of anybody. Just give it 3 to 4 years to develop Angela.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. Max contracts, trust the process, trust the young talent, and I think we're going to see Houston in a good spot.
Rush.
Yeah, and with Ime Udoka at the helm, it's a great coach with a good unit of young people. He can really teach them, and they can all grow and create a good culture together. So I completely agree. Well, Dwayne Nation, we've covered some summer league. We covered some rookies, and we're going to wrap up this episode before we have our big live event where we're going to have a bunch of people here kind of talking about sports, golf, everything we want, and it'll be out for you guys. But, hey, Brandon, thanks for joining. Genoa, what's up? That's awesome. We had a great episode, and we can't wait to hear more. And stay tuned, Dwayne Nation. And as always,
peace.
Peace, y'all.